Woohoo! We are recording, and welcome to episode 6 of the slodpod. Now, Matthew, our guest today, is Ali Woods. Might not know what slod stands for. Please enlighten him immediately.
It's the secret life of dads. So, right, do you know what's happened, Ali? Right, I got Lawrence to get in charge of that. I've done most of the guests, and I was like, Lawrence, just struggling to get the last guest on. Can you help me out? He brings on a guest who's not a dad.
What are you talking about? I was just about to say fatherhood.
What do we do?
The crazy life of fatherhood. Wild ride her, Ali. You're a dad, aren't you, Ali?
I've got 8 kids.
Thank goodness.
Catholic man in the house.
Yeah,
I did that in preparation for the pod when you asked me a week ago. So I've adopted them, and it's been a crazy week. Let me tell you.
I'll tell you what happened. You entrusted me with finding the next guest, and I went onto Instagram and I was typing away funny dads because you know the algorithm and the rest of it, and you popped up. And then I went down a rabbit hole of Ali Woods' Instagram videos, stand-up comedy and everything. And I just thought, this is bloody brilliant. And eventually I got to the point where I didn't care if you were dad or not.
Yeah.
I want you on the podcast. And here we are. You're on the podcast. So welcome, sir.
That's very sweet, and also shows how down with the kids I am on my profile. That when you type in funny dads, even though I'm not even a dad, it's dad humor.
Yeah.
The algorithm's telling you.
Yeah, is that good for your career or bad that it's dad humor?
I don't know, man. I'm having to pivot, bro. Like, I thought I was like young, and then now I'm getting like briefs for stuff. Like, I did a partnership recently and was like, there must be no one in the video who looks even slightly under the age of 25. And I was like, I'm done with that now. Like, don't get anyone in who looks relatively young.
Yeah.
That's where I am. So yeah, I don't know if it's good, but you know that then the content moves. I actually did a self-tape for a role of a dad for a CBeebies show.
No way.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Well, I haven't got it. So yeah, I had to pretend that these animated dogs were like. This is.
Do you know what? I love this because I used to like act, so I used to go for like casting calls and stuff like that. And sometimes some of the stuff they get you to do, I remember having to spit in a cup once. Yeah, and then I went to the audition. Yeah.
I was gonna say
some of the stuff they get you to do, but
It's when you have to pretend something's in the room that isn't, and you're kind of moving around. But what was it in this self-tape?
These animated dogs, and we had to give up our space. And I was explaining to my toddler that it's all we give them their space because they need this space, and we've got pram. But you know what I mean.
Dad.
There we go. Well, yeah, the toddler was in my ear the whole time. Like, shut up! You don't want that on CBeebies. Very well behaved toddler.
I think you're the first and last guest to have a make pretend kid. That's quite cool.
That counts. That totally counts, doesn't it?
Yeah. I still think about her every day. This is a rarity for me though, on a podcast with 2 of the most handsome men ever. This is normally on comedy. So in comedy, everyone's very ugly. I don't even know this. But so I rise up the rankings quite a bit, and people get me on, and they go, "Oh, he's big." But here I'm back to the reason why I become a comedian.
Well, mate, it's great to have 2 gingers in the room as well.
Yeah,
it's very rare.
You look like the evolution of me. It's a Pokemon. That's why you can get this, or you get the platinum package, or your starter pack. That's what I am. So.
I don't think I've ever been called a Pokemon before.
Guys, can I just say,
good.
I had my DNA test and it came out saying that I'm highly likely to be ginger. And I do have a redheaded daughter, so we are 3 as 1.
Oh yeah, she's very Jange.
She's very Jange.
Yeah, more Jange than us put together.
Yeah,
you avoided the curse, man. Well done.
How was your childhood being a Jange? I'm always curious or interested by this. Now we get into the thick of it.
What is there? 5 minutes of banter.
Here we go.
These are the dads.
What was it like for you, Ali?
Tell us the trauma, all of it.
You know what was at primary school? Yeah, I was made fun of for being ginger, and then at secondary school a bit especially sort of when that South Park episode came out about gingers having no souls.
South Park gave me a tough year.
That was seminal for any ginger living through the noughties. That was a seminal piece of media that came out, man. Yeah. And that was after that it was tougher. But at secondary school, to be honest, my secondary school was mainly non-white. So I wasn't seen as a ginger. I was seen as just a white person.
Okay.
So there was like about 30 of the 180 in our year who were like European, and that included like Turkish, Ukrainian people and stuff like that.
Wow.
So in terms of like actually white British, there's very few.
Yep.
So there was like actually in that there was two other gingers. One was Italian randomly, and then one another English white guy. And the English white guy, was red-headed, like properly.
Proper.
So I was less than that.
Should
So
I take him?
I was like Uncle Tom. Look at this ginger. Look at this ranger over here, mate. It's absolute. Have you seen him? Go on. It's like the sun. And so completely sold him down the river. But so it wasn't too bad. What was it like for you?
It was all right. I think South Park had a big part to play in my childhood, unfortunately. But my school was really bad for we would just make fun of everything. We had a year that would just make fun of everybody who wore if you wore slightly big shoes or if you had a hole in your jacket. We had honestly a really, really bad year. All my boys from back home who might listen to this will go, yeah, our year was terrible. Kids got expelled and stuff for saying you got big shoes.
I met them on your stag do. Terrible bunch.
Yeah, terrible bunch. That's what you get for wearing big shoes. But yeah, I kind of own it now. I like it. I've got a bit darker now. I've gone a bit more Damian Lewis, I think.
Yeah, maturity. Well, you know what it's like, Matt, as well. That ginger travels well. That's what I know. SPF wise, it doesn't. But if you go abroad, they love gingers. People love UK. We get hated on. But if you go, I remember being in Barbados, and this lady came up to me and she was like, oh my God, I just want to say I love your hair. And I was like, oh, stop it. I'm very exotic. But in the UK, we just get called rangers and gingers and Ed Sheeran and stuff. They have no patience for us.
Ed Sheeran. Do you know, I did a Prince Harry lookalike thing for a while. I played Prince Harry at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I was like, I had to do Prince Harry. This is like Snow White and the Seven
This is
Dwarfs for
meant to be.
ginger casting. It's like, if you take Prince Harry away from us, we'll rally against some black-haired guy will dye his hair ginger and play Prince Harry. And we'll be like, you are taking away jobs from good, hard-working gingers.
When Prince Harry was falling out of strip clubs, I was making coin.
Yeah,
because I was there, needed Prince Harry. I was like, I'll do it. Yeah, I played him at the Edinburgh Fringe with a bunch of lookalikes. We had a Prince William lookalike. We had a Putin lookalike. It was mad.
How was it?
Yeah, it was
Was
fun.
it a play?
Yeah, it was a play. Yeah. I was like 21. Not a care in the world.
I feel like we should change this to slodpod, Secret Life of Ginger.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
You
it's
did
been-
that.
I
How
did
long
that.
have you just been thinking about a way for that one?
Yes.
SLOG.
Yeah. So be slod. Don't say slod. Say slod. Remember. I think.
I'll bring it back to fatherhood. I'll bring it back. Okay, so Ali, you're not a dad, just to clear things up. You
Not
don't
a
have
dad,
8
mate.
children.
No, Dad.
Do you think you would want to be one day?
I'd love to be a dad, for sure, man. I'd love to be a dad. But you know what? I want to adopt.
Do you?
I feel like it's a good thing to do. I don't personally have any real instinctive feeling of carrying on sort of my gene. As I said, the gingerness, the curse has got to stop somewhere. And but it's true. It's like I just don't feel like. Having said that, if I was with someone that was very important to them, then I don't feel strongly enough about it that I'd be like, no, we can't. I'd just be like, okay, we can have a biological kid. But if it was up to me and the other person was cool about it, I just want to adopt. I know it's like a long process and all that, but that's what I want to. But it's not anywhere near my thoughts at the moment because of my lifestyle, comedy, stand-up. I'm just traveling a lot and all that sort of stuff. So I think I'd give it sort of, in the next 5-10 years is when I'd probably look to it. But I'd love to be a dad, man. I love my dads. We have a great time still to this day. And I'd love to be able to have that impact on someone, to raise someone and create like a good person and have that connection with someone that you might never get with anyone else. I think it's a lovely thing.
Yeah, nice, man. So what impact did your dad have on you, like going down the comedy route then?
Oh, huge, man. So if anyone wants to check out my stuff, it's all Ali Woods gigs on all social media. But the point being is that I did a YouTube special that I filmed at the Leicester Square Theatre in April last year. And my dad brought me out in that show. So he came on and welcomed everyone to that. Yeah. Nice. And he's known on my socials as like El Tony because of this passport photo that I found where he looks simultaneously like the drug cartel leader and the police officer trying to find him. But he's got like this shades on and this big moustache. Right? Back in I think this might have been late 70s, early 80s.
No, we got to get that photo. In the
I'll
edit,
send
we'll
you
get
it.
that photo.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
El Tony, man, that's what he's known as. Or the Wolf of Mill Hill, that's his always known as the hustler. But he loves it. It's funny because I remember when I started out in comedy, when I was at school and stuff, like before I did comedy, I would just watch so many comedy shows with him. everything, all the panel shows. Have I Got News For You, Never Mind the Buzzcocks, then the comedy live at the Apollo and all that. He got me into Monty Python. We used to watch The Holy Grail, and especially Life of Brian. We watched a few times, and that was like one of our favorite films.
Yeah.
And he was big into like comedy is an important part of society, and making people laugh is a great thing. And I always wanted to be like that. Annoyingly for him, my mum is actually funnier than him because she's Scottish, so she's just naturally funny.
Yeah.
She just comes out with funny stuff. But my dad loves it, and he took me to my first stand-up comedy show, Bill Bailey, at it was the O2 Arena, was it? Or was it? No, it was Wembley. It was... But no, what's the one that's not the stadium, but the one next to
As
it?
Wembley.
Yeah. So
the arena.
it's Wembley Arena. That was it. And he took me to that. And what's lovely is that I've actually got us tickets to go see Bill Bailey in 2 weeks.
Nice.
And we're going to go together. So it's like this thing sort of, 15, 20 years down the line. Now I get to go back and return the favour. So he was huge in that, and always wanted to... Always like the idea of me becoming a comedian. I wanted to be a comedian. I was scared of doing it. And then eventually started. And from the start, like first gig, he goes... You seen what Jack Whitehall's done with his dad? We should do something like that. Like literally, I've gigged to 2 people in the bottom of a basement.
You got these like Netflix deals coming through.
Honestly, yeah. But he was there at my first gig in London, and it was generally a basement in Tottenham Court Road. The only audience was him and his mate watching these open mic comedians. It was, but he loved it. He was well into it, and he's been so influential with me on getting to stand up, and it was wonderful that I got to give him a moment of that now exists on YouTube. It's captured in video of just, him going on Leicester Square stage and just being there. Because he's 70, man. I don't know how long he's going to be around for. Yeah. And it was just wicked to have that moment with him and have a hug on stage. And so I'm very lucky that I was able to do that. And, it's nice as the venues get bigger, we might be able to do it again. So we'll see. Wicked. But I can't understate how important my dad is to me for getting me into the career I'm in now.
Because it's a confidence thing as well, right? Because I'm sure it gives you confidence knowing that there's not because for some kids who maybe want to go down your route, if their parents they don't have the confidence for you to really persist with comedy, there's no, go out and be a doctor, be a lawyer or something like that. So having your dad pass that on to you, that must be pretty rewarding.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm lucky that my dad's a bit of an entrepreneur anyway. That's why he's the Wolf of Mill Hill, right? So I'm from a family where it wasn't like my parents had office jobs. Mm-hmm. My mum, she used to work as a buyer at Marks and Spencer's, got made redundant, used that money to buy some flats. So she sort of became a landlord for a few people. So she was looking after us while doing that. And then my dad always worked for himself and stuff. So it wasn't like this was an alien concept that you just have to have an office day job. But to be fair, my mum was not keen on me becoming a comedian because she's like, you're not going to make any money. She was scared that I was just going to be like a student all my life, just one of those people that just stays at home with their parents all the time, working on projects or whatever.
Sounds great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what she was scared of, man. It's because it's too good.
Get out.
That's it. Leave
figured it out.
Literally, man. My mum said that to me. She was like, you have to get a graduate level job for a year at least.
I like your mum already.
Yeah, I know. She's
just funny.
Yeah. Well, my dad was. That's what she said to me when I was like, I'd love to be a comedian because I think that's just what I really want to do. I really like doing it. And she's like, I like eating biscuits and watching Coronation Street. No one's going to pay me to do that. But my dad was always like, yeah, if you get a spare time, part-time job and want to stay here and just do gigs, then that's because he's the optimist, man, in the parenting. He's the optimist and my mum's the realist. And but yeah, both of them were also very, from early age with me, and my sister, just being like, you got to work hard. Whatever it is, you've got to work hard at it. And that, I think, has translated a lot to how I have been able to become full-time comedies, because from early days I was like, right, I'm going to gig hard, I'm going to write hard, I'm going to get around and work.
And when did your videos really start to blow up on socials? Because I've seen you before, even before we did this podcast. For you, because we had George Lewis on last week, who's a comedian. Yeah. He was amazing, but he said the impact of what socials has done for him and his career going forward. 'Cause it's so easy to put a story link in now that, hey, I'm playing this show when you've built your audience. But your stuff is just so I think yours is just great because you relate to it.
Oh, that's
It's
sweet.
and it's so true, because I think sometimes you go to like socials for a reason. I think you kind of go there because you want to escape, the mundane life that a lot of us have to live, and you just want that bit of excitement. So when you see your stuff and you do your sketches similar to George and stuff, it's just like a release of like, oh, we're all going through the same shit. Which is so cool. But yeah, when was like the tipping point for you, and then you started to put like way more focus into the social content side of things?
It was end of 2020 is when I started doing sketches, and that's when the first ones went viral.
Yeah.
And that was early days, like Instagram Reels. It was trying to compete with TikTok, and so that was my first experience of doing a video that I just filmed in my kitchen with my mate, and then having millions of views and thinking, wow, this is insane. That's happened like that. And then throughout 2021, it just started to build. And then I got in the habit of just doing them regularly.
Yeah.
And it's true what you say about that relatability. Like, I think that's as a creator, and George might relate to this or covered it, but you get so bogged down with your likes and your comments and your engagement and your reach and all this sort of thing, that you can forget that there's someone on the other side who might be having a really tough day or a tough week or a tough year or whatever. And as you say, they open up their phone and they're enjoying, or they're just getting a bit of a release. I remember that, man, when I got my GCSE results, I was so upset about them. I was like, went home and I was just crying, and then because I was a bit of a nerd, and then Friends was on. And this is before streaming, and it was just on Channel 4, and I was just watching it, and it was cheering me up. And I was like, if you can have that impact on someone's life, like, give them something. So that's a really wonderful thing, that the idea that you feel like they relate. And I imagine with George as well, as a parent, and parenting being such a tricky thing, and feeling like you're doing the wrong thing all the time, then it's
talking to you.
Yeah. Sorry, he did message me to direct this bit.
Tell me everything.
Yeah. But then it's nice that you feel like we're going through that together. That weird thing that you do, other people do, because people are worried about showing that side of themselves. And so it's always nice when I do a video that I feel like, does people get this? Do people know what I'm talking about here? And then it does well, and I think, oh, this is a great thing because you're bringing together a community. But yeah, it was end of 2020 when I started doing it, and then the pandemic lockdown continued in 2021. I was just like, I'm just going to do these videos.
Do you know what's so interesting? Like, before that, I think anybody who's creative kind of has this, but even what you just said then, it's like, oh, am I going to put this out? Is people going to be relatable? Like George said that. Other people that we've spoken to, like, we all fucking have it, don't we? We all have this moment of, oh shit, totally. People are going to like what I do.
Yeah, that kind of questioning, that little bit of self-doubt. And that's the challenge, isn't it, when you're creating something, just to stay in alignment with your truth and to continue to kind of speak from the heart, or to create from the heart, rather than being too worried or obsessed about how it will be received. And the bigger you get, I've always thought this, obviously I'm not a big comic, but I would imagine the bigger you get and the more views you have, the more shows you go to, does it become a bigger challenge to stay true to your essence of comedy and how you want it to be portrayed, rather than trying to be the crowd pleaser. And I'm only saying this because when a band, this is what happens all the time, a band creates an album, their first album, when they're tucked away and they're just being true to themselves, and they're making this music and it sounds amazing and it explodes onto the scene. And then they have to follow it up once they're famous and everyone's saying you're great, and they're thinking, oh, what do people like? What music should we make that people like? And then it can really challenge the artist and the band and the music.
Yeah. I'm enjoying this.
So,
it's great.
So is this the same thing for comedy? That's my big question.
Yeah. Are you in a band or something? Did you guys have a band?
I was in a band one time, and then we did a second album.
Yeah, man. This is me. Who am I meeting here, man? This is it. I didn't realise Tame Impala was two people, man. I thought it was just one guy. There you go.
Yeah.
Funny, man. Yeah, well, I do agree with you. Well, 2 points on that as well. So one is the staying true to yourself and still being willing to take risks. You're right. When you start building more of an audience, people want you to do the stuff that they followed you for. So that might be, for instance, like I'm doing like British people in this situation. And people are like, oh, I want this guy to just do British people in this situation all the time. But that's not really what I want to do. So you start doing something else, and those people might drop off. But you just got to be willing to that short-term loss for long-term gain, because I don't want to ever be pigeonholed into like I'm only doing this style of joke or comedy. Like I want to be a more well-rounded comedian than that be able to offer opinions and thoughts and videos on life in general, not just I'm gonna be the guy who only talks about when it rains and you're just like, and I'm just there.
That's the
summer,
rain guy again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've seen this rain guy. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's not as good as the like windy guy. He's like he's really good. You know, like his stuff blows. So. But I don't want to be that. So there's that element of it. And you know, you guys have this as creators as well, and having a podcast, you know, you might want to talk about other things. You might get on guests who aren't even dads, and people might slag you off for it. But it might be an avenue, you know.
There goes those brand deals.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It might be an avenue you're even, you know, you might want to change. But that is also the other element of it that I was gonna say is that, you know, you get to some element of success. And you start getting the brand deals. People come in, they want to work with you, and you start looking at the money, and you go, "This is okay. This is better than what I was earning.
This is
before."
better than playing in a pub in Tottenham Court Road.
Literally, you know what I mean? Yeah. Well, that actually was paid very handsomely. My daddy, give me money. But yeah, so that's the other thing. In that, then you start looking at your content, and you're like, well, if I'm doing that, then maybe they won't pay me the money because they don't want to do that. And again, that can stop you from taking risks. And also, I do stand-up, and my stand-up is honest and it's real, and I want it to be, and I don't want it to have to be sort of censored or like, you know, or pacified, so that it's like in the style of maybe more of the sketches I do. You know, that my stand-up is what I want to talk about. So that's another thing that can prohibit you from maybe doing stuff that you feel like would be more fulfilling and more enjoyable, but never let it do it, man, because those people come back, you know, as long as your following goes up, it doesn't matter. And also, I feel like, in my experience, when I've changed things, when I've taken risks and done stuff, and it's been beneficial to me, you know, always. And I think it's easy to get stale and plateau.
Yeah. Where do you get those moments of like, where does your creativity come from?
Oh man, it's because I'm never concentrating. Even this, I'm looking around like, oh, this is a hand there. Plants. Was this something about plants? Maybe. Yeah. I mean, it's tough not getting lost in your guys' eyes, to be honest. And obviously, as I said, you are what I could have won. So
the platinum gin just proper like that's going to stay with me.
It's even more insulting that I'm looking at this version of me that I have to shake your hand and walk away from.
This is what you could have been.
Literally, yeah. So, that's that. I'm always getting distracted, man. And then so I'm always just thinking of ideas, and then I'm just writing them down on my phone, and I'm looking back at that and being like, what of these stand up? Now I've given it a day or whatever, what still stands up?
Yeah.
And also some of them though, they're just so clear that I get the idea, and then I'm just like, I need to make this. I know how it's going to work. I know the lines and all that sort of stuff, and I'm just on it. And other ones I write down and I go, that is going to be a banger. And I look at it 3 days later, I'm like, what the hell? What does this even mean? You know, so that's part of it. And that's part of why I'm a comedian as well, because I'm never really living in the present. I'm never in the moment with people. Like, I'm always just shaking someone's hand. And instead of being like, oh, it's great, I'm meeting this person, I'm going like, why do they shake it like that? That's weird. It's squeezed. That's strange. You know? But then what's good is that you get to talk about that stuff, whether it's on stage or in sketches. You get to do that, and then, as you say, people go, oh my god, this is so true, I'm like that, and it feels like a way I get to connect with the world, even though in the moment I'm not. So that's quite nice.
I like that. That's cool. So one thing we did speak about with George, actually, which I think you might find relatable, is that I was having a conversation with a mate about how kids can never be like bored these days. There's like a pressure as mums and dads to put an iPad in front of them to have like constant entertainment. And throughout that, you know, it's kind of the moments when you are bored. I find when I'm most bored, my creativity comes. Do you find that at all? Or like, because in your childhood, I was thinking back to mine, like we would play like Kirby. I was looking at like popular 90s games today. Do you know what the first one was?
Tetris.
No, hide and seek.
Oh, okay.
That was invented in the 90s.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. That was like the top game in the 90s, and then Kirby. And then I went down.
There's a guy hiding from the 60s who still hasn't been found yet. He is the original.
I went down this rabbit hole, and I was like, do you remember Kirby? Like playing Kirby?
Yeah, off the side of the road.
Yeah. And then I went down a bit of rabbit hole, and I saw that there's like a Kirby championship that happens every year in Holland. 20,000 people take part.
What is Kirby?
Did you not? You're from South Wales. That's probably why. They don't have roads in Wales. You would bounce a ball.
Okay.
So you'd stand. I think the road needs to be like. Apparently, the actual ruling is that the road can't be bigger than 4 meters like wide. And you throw a ball, and if it bounces and you get a clean catch, you get 2 points.
Okay.
If it like scuffs and come back, you get 1 point, and it's the first person to get past 15 points.
Oh, amazing.
But that was like my childhood. Anyway. going back to it, there's like a bit of a pressure, I think, within this age of sticking an iPhone, sticking an iPad, and you lose those moments of creativity. Do you find like you get your moments of inspiration? I know you said that you've probably got quite a busy brain, I'd imagine, as a comedian. But do those moments of inspiration come from when you're seeing somebody else's content, or you're just kind of switched off disconnected from the world?
It's a bit of both, to be honest. I think.
Or playing Kirby.
Yeah, that's
Sorry
all I
about
do. I just 8 hours a day, Kirby. Come on, with
See you in
genius.
Holland. I'll be there in Holland to support you, mate.
Yeah. I'm trying to rise up the rankings. I'm actually 3rd seed in Kirby internationally. It's very important. There's this other guy, Hinter van Schlotten, who kills me every time. He's a beast, but yeah. Let me call him anyway. But it is a bit of both, and that's what you've got. You've got to weigh up when you're doing this. Life is sometimes you don't feel creative, and you just got to push yourself, and you just got to be like, just get something out. It's fine. If it doesn't smash this video, it's okay. And I think that's a good thing about life anyway, in terms of, you know, those procrastination sessions you get in where you're just like, if it's not perfect, I don't feel ready to do. Just do it. Just push yourself to do it. And it'll be fine. It's always easier to edit than it is to create. So just make something, put words on a page, do whatever it is, film something. So you have those moments where you've just got to almost force the creativity. But then there's other times, which I'm not good at, which I need to get better at, is actually you just need to have a break from it. You just need to actually take some time to go, you know, on a Tuesday or whatever. I'm lucky in that I don't have a 9-to-5 job, but it also means that I feel like I have to work all the time and always be working because there's no structure. So sometimes on a Tuesday afternoon, I just need to go cinema and just actually just chill out. And then the back of your brain starts working again, and you're actually in a place where you're relaxed. Instead of being like, could I do something about sofas? Like, you know those sofas where you like sit on them, but you don't sit on them? You know, actually, I'm going to write that idea down. But instead of just forcing, you just actually think, and things are just ruminating and marinating in your head, and then something comes a bit more organically, and you can relax. Like, I was writing some really good stuff in the pandemic, stand-up wise, because I wasn't able to do stand-up, so I was actually just living a life more like normal people and being like, oh, that's kind of observation. I just instead of always thinking of material all the time. So yeah, I'd say it's always a bit of both, because I think because you can't do either. I can't just sit in a room empty and just hope that I'm just gonna come up with someone, because I'll just start watching Netflix or whatever. But then also I can't just be sitting on a laptop all the time, like 12 hours a day, just writing down ideas, because they'll just get really rubbish. Yeah. But yeah, is it true? This is what I heard from parents in that new parents. They're all like, you know, my child, they're just not going to see screens until they're 11. Yeah. You know, they're just not going to. I'm just not going to give them screens. But then as soon as you realise that you can shut up like a crying kid by giving them an iPad, you're like, here you go.
Oh yeah. You know, there's like Odeon cinemas. That's what I got for my kid now. And I always used to be like the parent of, because there is something to that, right? You go into a restaurant and you see your family and they got iPads in front of their kids, and you're like, God.
Such a shame, isn't it?
I'd never be like that.
God, could you believe that? They're not even connecting. This is important.
Like, why?
Family time.
My child's going to be reading War and Peace. I am. There is a pressure for that as well. Like, in terms, I used to think like my kid will always eat like whole foods, organic food, and then she just has snacks. Yeah, you've got to constantly just give them.
You just got to get through each day. To be honest, you got to try and survive and keep your mouth above the waterline. And it's not always snows. Have you got any friends who've got kids yet?
Oh yeah.
How do they go about it? And have they changed as well since becoming dads?
Of course.
They don't hang out with me anymore.
Yeah. I've got a couple mates. There's mates who I've got who weren't expecting it, and I've got mates who, you know, that's always been the plan, and I've got mates who are now trying and in that period of their lives, and mates who are pregnant now. So it's just all happening at the moment. So I've got the vast spectrum, and the dude who wasn't expecting it, to be honest, man, he's thrown himself into it, and it's been really great. I mean, it was tough. He went from having being single to a year and a half later having a girlfriend who he lives with a dog, and then a kid on the way, and it all just.
So also, do you know what? Do you know what gets you? It's the dog. As soon as you get the dog, that kid is basically there.
It's the last step. It's like,
oh yeah, you're that cute little cockapoo. Baby next.
It's a trial run, isn't it? That's what you guys did.
Yeah.
What's harder, having a dog or a baby? That's what everyone often compares.
Baby.
Yeah. There's no comparison.
I remember going. I went to dinner something recently, and there was a guy who was like, yeah, you know when people say what's harder, a dog or a baby? I actually think, because he only had a dog, I actually think it's probably a dog. I wanted to fucking drop kick him.
A dog's not going to grow up and blame you for all those problems. Well, if you'd given me dinner time at an appropriate time, Father, then you wouldn't have ruined my life and all my relationships now.
What sort of dad do you think you'll be? Do you think you'll be a sort of authoritarian or flexitarian? Not
a flexible dad.
Yeah.
He does yoga.
Yeah. I only father on the weekends.
Yeah. Sorry I'm late, guys. I was in yoga again.
There's a spectrum between those 2 points. Flexitarians, you'll eat. What? No, that's something completely
Sounds like
different.
you're going to eat a flexible something.
Yes, that's so What sort of parent will you be, Ali?
It's hard to say, well, as you said, because you have these ideas in your head. My ex always used to say I was Phil Dunphy from Modern Family. So that's my vibe, man. Like, it's just like goofy, silly golden retriever. And I like to think I would pair up with a partner who is going to be disciplined, like give that side of things. 'Cause I think I'm going to struggle with that.
Yeah.
If my kids are like, Dad, do you want to just go to the park and then the cinema and eat Maltesers all day? I'm like, yeah, let's not go to school. You're not going to learn anything there anyway. I'm worried I'm going to be a bit like that. So I think I need that sort of authoritarian hand.
Yeah.
But I do think I'm very lucky that I had like a genuinely wonderful dad who, like, even yesterday, man, like I went to his office because he's helping me with some of my finance stuff because he's always worked for himself and I'm doing it now, so he's like helping me out with how to do it. And so I went to his, and he has this office where he's like shares it. He just works for himself, but he shares the office with other people. And I went in and like everyone I was chatting to there, first thing they go like, your dad talks about you all the time, like, you know, your dad, he showed us the video of him in Leicester Square, he shows us all the time, you know what I mean, he showed us your videos and stuff. And it's nice to have like that element of support. Like, I'm very lucky, and I think he was never like this huge authority figure, but he was just always very excited and optimistic and like, you can do this and look how fun this is and look how cool this is and stuff like that. And I'd like to think I would be able to give that to my kids, where I'm quite optimistic about life. I generally think you can sort of do what you want in this life. You can really make stuff happen. Like, I'm not ever a believer in the fact that some things just aren't meant to be. I think you can make it if you've got the right attitude and you're willing to make the sacrifice and work hard. And I'd like to think I'll give that to my kids as well. I'd hate the idea that I'd have like lazy kids or kids that just think life's messed up, man, can't do it. Like, I'd like to think that, no, it's like there's so much joy to get out of this life, and because that's what my dad gave me.
I think you'd be a great dad.
Quite emotional listening to that.
Is there any character traits from your dad that you wouldn't want to pass on?
Kill the vibe.
Sorry.
Just getting all sloppy.
I was getting way too sloppy for me.
Hey, we need to get back to the ginger stuff anyway. Man. I thought we renamed this podcast ages ago. I think there's. I mean, you know, and I think part of what made my dad a great dad was because my mum was that other side, the discipline that you have to do this, no messing about, the getting things. We have to leave 8 hours before because our flight might leave just before. Like,
I'm like that. Yeah. I'm
So,
like, if you can wait and and on your sofa, you can wait in the airport. I'm that sort of person.
Take the stress out of it.
Yeah. Nice. So I think that's where my dad maybe I feel like my mum compensated for those sort of things. So in terms of the sort of discipline of getting structure and working hard and no one's going to do anything, my dad sort of walks around like, isn't everyone great? Everyone's a nice person. My dad's never met a partner of me or my sisters that he hasn't loved, thinks they're great. He just always, even though some of them are not, you know what I mean? So it's like, she seems nice, you know, that sort of thing. It's like, okay. So that sort of gullibility and that sort of like, everyone's nice, everyone wants to help and stuff like that. I think, you know, you have to instill your kids with an element of like, look, this would be a utopian world, but this is how the world is. You've got to look after yourself. You can still be a good and kind and nice person, but you got to watch out because some people will take you for a ride and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I've never had anything nicked from me. I've never had anything stolen. And that's all my mum, because she was always like, make sure your bag is in between your legs. Like, don't, it's about you leave something out for 1 minute. She's like, you're just leaving your phone. Someone's going to take it. You're just leaving your phone out there. It's like, we're at home. What do you mean? Who's going to steal my phone? Like, you know, that's what she's like. And my dad, has had like misfortunes and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
is not as organised. Me and him, we go on trips together. We go to watch the football because we're season ticket holders at Man United, so we go abroad together. We've gone to some of the away games and watched that. Sort of San Sebastian, Munich, and Oktoberfest was happening and stuff like that. Yeah, and with that sort of stuff, I feel like I've got to be a bit more switched on than him in those sort of situations, because he's just looking around, being like, "Oh, this is great." And you just got to be like, "Okay, let's
I think
get away
that's
from this
testament, isn't it? I think like a good sign of parenting is that when you get to our age and you still want to hang out with your dad.
Oh, that's amazing. That's the
cool.
dream. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Are you guys close with your dads?
Yeah, I'm close to my dad was like, very kind of similar to my family. Like my mum is Welsh, quite like straight. My dad's, East End of London, but very much like, do what you want, son. Put your heart into it, and you'll be all right. Yeah. And so I've always loved my dad. I've never had an argument with my dad, not even one. Yeah. Mum, every week,
all the time.
But it's but I've learned like different values from my mum, different values from my dad, and they just work together. Like they've been married like 35 years now, and I think it just works.
And I've got a good relationship. I'm not saying this to
with his dad.
I was going to say, I thought you were like,
wait, what?
I've got a very good relationship with his mum.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you do.
We message a lot. And this is not me being weird. This is not me trying to crack a silly
Make a
joke
move.
or anything.
Yeah.
Genuinely, we're in touch a lot. And that is, again, something I love
But
about
no touching.
No touching. Just in touch through the World Wide Web.
What, would you think, are you more aligned with his mum in the way you go about life? Is that right?
No. I just think, I love Matthew. She loves.
Have you ever
Matthew,
had a whipdeen from? So I can speak. Well, I can understand Welsh. My mum's very Welsh, but whipdeen in Welsh is a slapdass. Have you ever had a whipdeen?
What, from your mum?
Yeah.
No, I'm just wondering. But in general, maybe both. Has my
mean,
mum ever given you a whipdeen?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Like stuff went down at your wedding on the dance floor. I always know who it was.
How are we talking? How are we talking
Exactly.
about my mum slapping your ass?
I don't know. Okay. It's something I'm going to look into though. After
I think we have a test to give Ali.
Yes. So basically, if you're looking to become a father, there's a father readiness quiz that we wanted to put you through. And again, for whatever point that this feels natural in your life, if you pass, you get to have children. Okay. If you pass this test right here,
It's
right
a
now,
government test, is this? Yeah.
It's government.
It's
Yeah.
recorded,
Rishi puts this up today.
Of course, if you fail, then you're banned from having children. But again, it's not going to happen. It's a multiple choice quiz. Okay.
Yeah.
No pressure.
No one fails multiple quiz. Multiple quiz.
Multiple choice.
Multiple choice quizzes.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Okay, so I have an initial question for you. Okay, you ready?
Jesus, it's like a monologue.
I know. I was thinking it through. Now, okay, may or may not have used scenarios that I've been subjected to as a father.
Oh, right. Okay.
Here's the
My
scenario.
mum
Okay.
slapping your ass.
Yeah. What you do with your
You're at
best
Matt's
mate?
wedding.
Oh, whipdeen.
The mother of the bride walks over to you. Okay, so you are out innocently shopping for groceries with your baby strapped to your chest. A sea of poo erupts from your baby as a punami breaches the volume capabilities of their nappy. Whilst you're able to lovingly soak up most of the poo in your sweater, small droplets manage to make their way down and splatter on the ground by your feet. Whilst you're slightly panicked, you're also not surprised. You've encountered such poo explosions on numerous occasions before. However, this time you are in the vegetable aisle of the supermarket. Do you A, simply wipe the scattered poo droplets with your foot and get the heck out of there pronto? B, grab the nearest lettuce and mop it up immediately. Continue to purchase said lettuce, make it home, and dispose of lettuce hygienically and safely. Or C, summon the nearest staff member for help disinfecting the poo scene at the risk of being called out on the tannoy and poo shamed in front of everybody. Oh, there is a fourth one. Or D, focus on cleaning up your darling child as a priority, then come back to the site of the punami, hoping that other members of the public have not splattered and spread the mess around the rest of the supermarket by the time you get back to it. Oh, that's a lot.
I can't remember one of those. I remember something about a lettuce.
Poo was involved.
Yeah.
So you ain't got any wipes yourself. That's like you can't wipe.
See, I like that straight away. He's like, obviously you'd have wipes because you're a dad. He's wins. He's got it.
We've
He's
all
got
been
it.
in that situation where you're dashing out the front door. You think this would be lovely. I'm
I
going
don't
to
think
go
I've ever
shopping
wiped
with
my child's ass with
baby.
the letters.
Strapped to my chest.
Yeah, it's better veg.
And you end up
It's
getting
better
caught
veg.
short.
What veg would you use to wipe
I'm
a kid's
trying to
ass?
think that now because lettuce actually quite big because you got the leaf element of it, so you can tear it away. Do
Yeah,
bit
lettuce
of
is a good
that, you know,
shout.
That's actually quite good
Like a
because
sponge.
I was thinking, yeah.
What wouldn't you want to use? Aubergine.
I was gonna say like keep on theme carrot. Man.
Yeah.
You could scoop it with some celery.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So I'm thinking you gotta basically. There's stuff around, or you got to look for someone. You got to really like leave. You got to leave the scene of the crime, the poo scene.
But this is what happens as a parent. You get caught between a rock and a hard place so often.
Yeah.
You know, do you clean up the baby? Do you come back? I mean, how do you navigate that situation?
Because what I'm thinking is my first thing would be look around for staff and see if let them know the poo, there's poo on the floor, and they point at me. I'm like, "It's the baby, it's not me. It's the poo, it's the baby." Firstly, I'd say if anything comes on the tannoy, I would interrupt them. It was not me. It was I've got a baby on me, and then it's a case of cleaning the child. Because how long is the child alright with poo in their nappy? Like a minute, a couple minutes.
I mean, you probably don't want to leave it much more than. Well, actually, sometimes like when he comes back from nursery, and I feel like that poo's been in there all day. Yeah. Not criticising the nursery staff at all, but fucking stinks.
Have you ever been caught with one of those punamis in a public space before?
Not that bad. No. I've
tricky.
been all right. Mine's way shorter than that.
Okay, yeah,
really
you did
enjoyed
say.
that though.
That was good though.
I got carried
that was
away.
good.
I was in it. The imagery was excellent.
Yeah,
Could you feel the tension as well in my voice?
I could.
Mine is.
You were worried. You were worried in this situation. I could sense
So
that.
my question is forwards.
Okay.
Okay. What is a muslin? A type of fabric to wrap your baby in, or B, a device that attaches to your partner's breast.
Oh my god, a muslin. Let's go for A.
Yeah, he's nailed it.
Yes, easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
He's absolutely nailed it.
What was B?
A device that attaches to your partner's breast.
It was the milking pump.
Yeah. But it was just see if it. I mean, that would have been
perfect.
great if you would have said.
Did you have your kids? Are your kids the same age?
No.
Not quite. Mine's. I've got a 7 and a 4-year-old. Yours is
2.5.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
7
Yeah.
4-year-old.
slight gap.
I'm godfather to his son.
Yeah.
So your kids both at school now?
Yeah, they're both at school. Yeah,
Oh my gosh. So you're in that part of things now.
They're both at school, and my wife has been their teacher for the last few years, and this is the first year that she's actually not teaching them, so she gets a bit of freedom outside of 24/7 essentially. Which
That's
is
a lot.
That's
for
tough.
Winner,
It's
isn't
a lot.
it?
Yeah.
And you're here talking about my mum
And I
slapping
and
your
I-
ass.
I get to go to work and do serious things like have this conversation.
Yeah.
secret life.
Punami, writing down
Punami.
Punami questions. Spent 7 hours on that.
Yeah. No, it's cabbage is
yeah.
better. Cabbage is better.
Yeah. Lawrence, you coming for dinner? Don't leave me. I'm in my study. I'm working. Someone's got to earn money for this family.
Ooh, letters.
Yeah, sweet, man.
I've got another good one here, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Before you leave hospital, I didn't know this, by the way. Well, I did know this until you did. Before you leave hospital, it's common practice for someone to watch over you whilst changing a nappy, just so they know you're confident in doing it. Okay. If you can't change it, what happens? 3 options. You're made to go on a 1-hour intensive course about the importance of correct nappy changing. B, they'll show you again whilst your partner looks at you like an idiot. Or C, they'll tell you you're not fit to parent.
You don't get arrested. I was thinking that was going to be it.
I felt like I was going to get arrested. The way I was putting that nappy on the first time, I was like...
Handcuffed straight on.
There's a lot of judgment. It
Oh,
feels
I
like,
hated that moment.
Yeah.
Because
Who's
somebody
looking at
told me it.
Who's looking at you, nurse?
Nurse is over your shoulder.
Wow.
Wife is there just like, obviously, a bit messed up. And then you have just got to put a nappy on. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
What do you think? 1 hour intensive. They'll show you again, or they'll tell you you're not fit to parent.
So I would say the 1 hour intensive would be lovely, but NHS ain't got time for that. So they're just like, showing you again, you'll be all right. See you later. We need this bed.
Crack on.
Boom.
He's
Absolutely.
nailed it.
Okay.
He's nailed it.
That's it, Ali. You do get to become a father. in the
Well
future.
done.
Well done. You passed the test. Fantastic.
Is the kid here?
Congratulations.
Come on in.
Come on in.
Oh, well, Ali, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. And before we let you go, have you got any, 2 questions. Have you got any tour dates coming up, and where can people find you on socials?
Of course, yeah. Social media, Ali Woods Gigs, ALI Woods Gigs. On all social medias, that's where I post all my videos, my sketches, and my stand-up clips. And it's where you can find out any tour dates and stuff like that. I am going on a tour later this year, so that's not been officially released yet. So check that out. If there's any European listeners, I'm in Western Europe next month doing like Germany, Netherlands, Portugal, France, Belgium. So come check me out if you're over there. But yeah, this has been great. I thank you so much for having me. I want to return when I have a kid.
Yes. Nice, you will. Well, we promise to keep going.
Yeah.
And we cannot wait to meet Lettuce.
Lettuce. Yeah, when I come in, my bag's just full of vegetables.
You
never know what you're going to need. You never know. We've got a butternut squash getting that out. We had a little bit of an accident, so I'll be 5 minutes.
Oh, mate, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Cheers, Ali.
Thanks, buddy.